Hey there, planners. It's time to set up my 2022 planner for work. I am super excited about getting started and getting all the functional aspects of work planning in place and ready to go for next year. I work in a very corporate organization. I'm a leader in that organization, and I also have a tremendous amount of project management that is part of my role. So all of that needs to be contained in my planner, and my planner needs to be set up to help me accomplish all my goals. So that's what we're going to be going through today. Go grab your planners and let's get planning. All right, so as I talked about in an earlier video, and I'll have all of these videos linked down in the description box below, I am going to be going to digital planning for 2022. I've done a lot of research, I've done a lot of playing around, and the benefits of digital planning are really going to help me accomplish my goals and solve some of the problems that I've had in physical planners. If you want to hear more about that or see my planner stack for 2022, I'll have videos listed down in the description box below for you to go check out. But this is my 2022 work digital planner. Now, I certainly did a lot of shopping. There are a lot of options out there for digital planners that you can purchase. After much looking and shopping, I really found that I couldn't find a digital planner for purchase that met all my needs for work. As I said, I'm a leader. I'm a project. I work a lot in project space and very focused on goals. So I needed a planner that could do all of that for me, a digital planner that would allow me to continue to plan in the style that I plan in, which in the past has been using a blank notebook, a modified bullet journal style. I needed that sort of structure, and I couldn't really find that. So I actually built this digital planner myself. I'm not a designer. I'm not a graphics designer. I don't build planners for a living or things like that. But just with a little bit of research, I was able to figure out how to do it. And actually, it wasn't that hard. It was really easy to make this planner. If you're interested in hearing more about how I do that, let me know down in the comments below, and I can share some of that information with you as we get into 2022. So this is my planner. I've got my little cup of coffee and my little plant and so this is the cover. But what I want to do today is really get into the meat of the planner and talk about how I've set this up and structured it, go through each section, because I think regardless of whether you're using a digital planner or a physical planner, if you're using a pre-printed planner or a blank notebook, I think all of this can really help you share ideas for how to structure your planner setup and give you some ideas about what things you might want to include in your functional work planner. All right, so we'll start with the first page. When I flip to the first page of my planner, this is what I have, and this is really a master index. It has all of the collections and sections here, as well as a annual calendar for 2022. So I'm actually going to zoom in so you can see what these different sections are. On this first page, I have a section for goals. Obviously, goals are extremely important at work. I am responsible not only for myself, but for others as a leader. And so setting goals and making sure that I have clarity around what the annual goals are, that they're aligned to, department goals and enterprise goals, making sure there's good alignment there, as well as tracking. So I have annual and quarterly, because I do, as the same way I like to do with my personal goals, I like to break my work goals down into quarterly chunks so that I know what I need to accomplish and can stay on track on a monthly, weekly basis. If you want to see more about how I set goals, I have a step-by-step guide for goal setting that I did for 2022. I'll have that video linked down in the description box below. You'll see that I have 3 additional sections here that are blank. These are blank sections for me to fill in as I go forward. If I have like a deep dive that I want to do on one of my goals, or I need another section for tracking, I can come in and add that in. I have a section for meetings. So I don't know about you, but I spend a tremendous amount of my time in meetings. And there's 3 areas that I wanted to focus in on, at least initially, and for meeting section. One is staff meetings. So I have staff meetings. I attend staff meetings that my boss holds. I need a place to really pull together all those notes and track what's going on. I have to hold a lot of meetings. I host a lot of meetings based on the work that I do. So I'm pulling folks together and organizing the information that's going to be shared and what needs to be accomplished, the actions that come out of that. So I have a meeting planner section, which I'll go into each of these as we get into this, but I wanted a dedicated space for me to be able to plan for meetings that are coming up. And then I also have a meeting notes section, because being able to keep up with what comes out of meetings, what are the notes, what are the key messages, and it may be a month or 2 months or 6 months down the road when I really need to remember what was said at a certain meeting. So this is a place for notes. And then same as before, I have 2 additional sections that I can determine how I want to use those in the future. All right, the next section I have is called PMO. And if you're not familiar with that acronym, that stands for Project Management Office. In 2022, I am actually leading a PMO for my company. And that involves having to track, monitor, report, provide leadership, direction, standard processes, all of that stuff for a host of projects, multiple projects, lots of individuals and sub-teams and leaders and things like that. So I really needed, in 2022, I needed a dedicated section all about this project management office, because it's my primary responsibility next year. So I have a master list, which is a place where I'm going to be keeping a list of all of the projects that are under my purview, under the project management office. Work streams is where I will get down into the specific work streams that I'm accountable for monitoring and tracking and providing oversight to. Governance is the structure of leadership and management and steering committees, executive committees, things like that I have to report out to, just keeping track of what those are and what they're interested in. Decisions. Decisions are really key when it comes to a PMO. Part of the PMO purpose is to facilitate decision-making in key areas. And so being able to track what decisions are coming up, what decisions are made, just a record keeping from that standpoint. Obviously reporting status, reporting progress, reporting issues, all of that stuff. And then I've broken out a couple sections, steering and project leads, for specific groups of people that I am really directly supporting and their needs. I've got an oversight section, which is really about issue tracking and those who are interested and helping facilitate transparency in the work that we're doing, and then budget. And you can see I've got 6 additional sections here to keep adding, because I feel like this is going to be a section I'm going to need a lot of space to keep adding to as things come up through 2022. The next section is all about me. It's called Develop, and it's really about my development, my current role, my assignments, my performance, notes that I want to make on my performance, skills inventory, the one-on-ones that I have with my boss. And I also keep a space for, those informal and formal mentors that I have, as well as those mentees. So folks that I am mentoring to. I have space to keep track of those discussions and things that we're working on. So I've got a couple of extra spaces to keep adding here as well. As we scroll down, of course, I have my routines. The same way I do in my personal planning, I have annual, quarterly, monthly, and weekly routines. I debated about adding a daily, but I actually think I'm going to capture daily in the weekly section as well. But this is a place for me to really capture those recurring tasks on these time frequencies in my planner. And then these last 5 sections are really free space for me to continue to capture what I need to capture. I know there are going to be specific lists that I'm going to reference over and over again. I'll capture those here. Reference items. So this is that information that I keep coming back to over and over again, and just want to have a place to capture that so I can quickly access it. My team. This is a place for me to capture notes, one-on-ones, development items, goals, performance for them. A notes section where I want to have dedicated notes under a topical heading. And then I have a custom section as just a catch-all for anything else I find, whether it's a tracker or anything else I find that I really want to capture that doesn't fit into one of these other categories. So I gave myself some extra space. So that is all of the what I would call collections section of my planner. And then I have the calendar side of my planner. So basically what I have are monthly calendars laid out for the entire year, and there are links all over the place. And I should say that about each side. There are links all over this page to where I can quickly tap and get to these sections in the planner. And I'll go over that a little bit more as I get into it. But this is a section for the calendar that allows me to see the year at a glance, but then also to get to these sections quickly. Let me go over what I have on my tabs. So across the top here, you can see the tabs at the top are all of these collection sections. So goals, meetings, PMO, development, routines, list, reference team, notes, and custom. And then down the left-hand side, I have a section for annual, and then I have one for every month of next year. And so now I'm going to get into just kind of clicking through so you can see what is in each section. To start with, goals is my first section. So if I was here, I could easily click on goals and get to this section. And what I've got here is exactly what was listed on the front page. I've got an annual, quarterly, and then three blank sections that I can add to. These are clickable. So if I click on annual, I get to the annual goals. This is where I'm going to list out my annual goals. I have a section for quarterly breakdown as well. So this will allow me to really think through breaking down what are the key things I need to accomplish in each quarter. And then I've got those 3 blank spaces. The next section is meetings, and this is where I have staff, meeting planner, meeting notes, and then a couple of blank sections. For staff meetings, I left this blank as I'm not quite sure how I want to structure this page yet. And then there's one page here now, but I can easily add in pages behind this to keep going with notes that I want to keep up with. The next section is my meeting planner, and I'll spend a minute on this. So this is a great template. I think I'm really going to enjoy this template. I did a lot of research looking at a lot of templates that you can purchase or that are already out there for how I wanted to set this up. So I've got a place to put the title of them. What is the meeting? What is the date and time? And then list out the objectives. That is so important. I think it's really important to ground the meeting in what are you actually trying to accomplish, because you want to build the agenda around these items and make sure the right folks are there, the right format is being used, whether it's in person or via Zoom or Teams or any of those, Skype, any of those. And then you want to build the agenda on that. Decisions. So what are the decisions or actions that we need to make in this meeting? So what needs to come out of this meeting? And then based on that information, who do the attendees need to be? And then when I come over here, actually spelling out the agenda items, what do we need to get to in what order, and I will use all of that other information to help me get there. Prep actions, because sometimes there are things that need to be done ahead of a meeting, like preparing material or, securing a room or ordering lunch or, whatever it is. For me, it's mainly going to be about material preparation and coordinating with the right folks who need to develop that material so they know what they need to develop, in what format, and when it's due. So I'll capture all that here, and then additional section for any materials needed, just to be able to check off when I have those. So this is going to be a great tool for me to use because, again, as I said, I have to organize and host a ton of meetings. I spend a lot of my time in meetings, and as a PMO function, that meetings are really key, and I've got to make the best use of that time. So once I complete this, I can easily copy this and keep adding this. So I have this. I can also copy this page and insert it into my calendar section anywhere in my planner so that I have it right there available to work on. Meeting notes is another great tool, and one I'm sure I'm going to use particularly for key meetings where I know I'm going to need to come back and reference exactly what happened. So meeting title, date and time, who were the attendees, any agenda items, and the notes. So what I would do is put the agenda items over here. It's kind of set up like Cornell notes. Put the agenda item here and then take notes on this side so that I can keep track of what was discussed. Decisions that were made, that's really key for me to keep track of. Action items, any follow-up action items or things that come out of that meeting. And then for the next meeting, because a lot of the meetings I am attending or hosting are recurring meetings. So, some discussion will happen in one meeting that we need to take action on in preparation for the next one. So that's a place to track that. So that's my meeting section, and then I have a couple of blank spots before I get to my PMO section. So here are the items that I know I want to track, but then I also have special sections that I can add to, and I would just come in here and write what these are because, again, they are linked. So when I click it, I go right to that section, and then I can get right back to the index by tapping on the tab. So for this is my master list, and it's pretty basic setup. I've just got a number so I can keep a running number of items. I've got the project title that's in there, what the status is, and what I'm thinking about for there is it open? Is it closed? Is it canceled? Is it not started? Things like that. Start date and finish date. That's what I want to keep track of, and that will help me remember, what happened. Because when I get to the end of the year and I'm thinking about my performance or I'm thinking about reporting and timing of things, I'm going to need to come back and see those early in the year projects that were completed or finished, and what the start and finish date were for those. So that's my master project list, and I can easily duplicate this page if I fill up all of these and keep going, which I anticipate to be the case. This next section is work streams. I've left this very blank so that I can determine what the right format is to track the work streams. I've got a section for governance structure, and I will spend time, and this is going to look somewhat like an org chart, so I really just want to be able to draw this in using squares and lines. You've seen what an org chart looks like. That's probably what's going to go here, so I've left this very blank to put that in. And then I have a decision tracking. What I've captured here is, again, a number, a description of the decision, what the status is, and what the due date is, because that's really important to be able to keep up with. Certain decisions must be made by certain times because they're dependent or precede other activities. So this is a place for me just to keep track of that and to keep track of when things are closed out and I don't have to think about them anymore. I will more than likely have to duplicate this page and have more than one of these pages as well. All right, the next page I have is report items. And this is really tracking for me. So I certainly have very formal report tracking set up, outside of my planner. And that's really for all of the project managers and the folks involved in the projects that I'm responsible for to use to communicate to me. But there are some items that come directly to me that I need to make sure get into a report. And that can come through the form of meetings or a hallway discussion. Those come to me in many different ways. And what I needed was a way to really track those items until I can get them into the right system that's in place. So that's what this is for. I have an item title, which is just what is the report item, and a description. What team is it coming from? So which project is it coming from? The date I received it, and then what the status of this item is. And I've got 2 pages for that, but then I've also got 5 additional sections. So I feel like I'm going to need quite a few of these, so I can click through each of the sections quickly and get to those. The next place is a place for the steering committee. This is really to keep up with the members, what their interests are, how things are changing or progressing, big themes and items. That's what this is all about. I have a section for project leads. Same thing. This is to keep up with all of those different projects. Who is my point of contact for each of those? And that will change sometimes, but just some free space to keep up with that. And then I have oversight and budget. And I've left both of those sections blank again because I'm not quite sure what the right format is going to be for capturing these items in the planner. All right, and then the next sections are blank, and these are for me to just use however I need to, and determine what the best use for these sections are. And again, I can keep duplicating pages as needed if I need more. All right, next section is my development section. So I have a place to capture information about my current role, performance notes, one-on-ones, mentors, mentees, and skills inventory. Most of these sections are blank because I'm not quite sure what the format needs to look like yet. So think about how I used to use my blank notebook. I've just determined that that's what these sections are for, but it's still very much a blank notebook that I can come in and determine how I want to use these in the future. I love being able to go ahead and dedicate spaces to that, though. All right, the next section is routines, annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and then I've got additional routines that I can add in as the year goes on and I see I need them. For my annual routines. So what I've got here is a heading that says task or activity. So I would just write out the task or activity. And then I've got the 12 months of the year. And so I can check off when that needs to be done. Maybe it's multiple months and I can highlight, multiple months in a row. I've got 2 pages for that. For quarterly routines, very similar. I've got the task and activity, and then I've got the 4 quarters. So I can check off when that needs to be done. 2 pages for that. Very similar for monthly routines. I've got the task and activity, and then I've got the 5 weeks, 5 weeks for each month. For a monthly routine, when does it need to be done in the month? So maybe it is expense reporting, and I know by the 3rd week in the month, I need to have all expenses in for that month, something like that. I've got 2 pages for that. And then I kind of combined weekly and daily. So task and activities, I would put in the task and activity, and then I've got Monday through Sunday there. And I can check off when they need to be done. So those are the routine templates that I have set up. Of course, I can duplicate the pages if I run out of space, but that's a lot of tasks and activities. I also have extra sections for any additional routines that I see that I need to include. The next sections are just blank pages. So this is the list section. I can add in any list that I want to, and then I've just got blank pages. That's the case for list, reference, team, notes, and custom. They're all set up just like this. All right, so now it's time to get into the calendar section. So I just clicked on the 2022 over here, and this is the cover page for 2022. I should mention, anytime I'm throughout this calendar, there's this little home icon right there. I can click on the home icon and get to the master index, which is really handy. But starting with 2022, I have some annual pages that I wanted to set up, and you can think about this like all of those front pages in your planner, future log, inbox. I've got trackers, quarterly planning, things like that. And then I have another year at a glance that again is linked. This one is actually linked. So for example, if I am on this page and want to get to the 3rd week in September, I can just click there and there's the 3rd week in September. And then if I want to get back to the master page, I come here. So very handy to have all this linked, and I can easily jump around to whatever space I want to be in my planner. My annual pages that I set up are a future log, an inbox, a time off tracker, which I really do need to plan for and keep up with from a work perspective. Quarterly planning, 1 page for each quarter, and then 2023 planning. I've also got 2 custom sections that I could add to if I think of other annual pages that I need right here at the front of my calendar section. So 2022 future log, you guys are very familiar with a future log. If you're not, if a future log is a new concept for you, I've got a video all about setting up a future log. I'll have that link down in the description box below. But basically I have my calendar here, and I would just come in and write in, anything that's going on in the future during that month, so that when I'm actually planning that month, I can come back and look at this and pull those items in. So it's a great, safe place to keep all the future activities. Inbox is a place that I will pop sticky notes in. I do have a great version of sticky notes in GoodNotes. I just come over here, grab one of these items, write what I want to on it, move it around, and that's my sticky note. So that's going to be really handy. For just capturing incoming items. It's a quick place to capture incoming items or things that I don't really know what to do with yet. I'll put them here, and then part of my routines is to come and clean out the inbox, and I like to do that on a weekly basis. Here's a time off tracker. So I've actually got a color coding system that I'll set up here. I've got company holidays, vacation time, and any sick time or, family care time, stuff like that. I will set up color codes for this, so maybe I color in this box blue, this one red, this one purple, and then I will use these calendars to actually indicate those items. So I'll mark them off and indicate time off, and that way I have it to look at when I'm planning for the future, but also at the end of the year or at the end of the quarter, I can look back and see what days I had off. So I think this is going to be really handy. Q1 planning, all the quarterly planning are blank pages right now. I just wanted the space there. And then 2023 planning is also here. Isn't it crazy to even think about 2023 planning? But I wanted to have that space because I know it'll come up, and things come up all the time that I need to remember for the next year. I've got 2 blank sections to use however I want to, and then I get into the monthly. So this is what each cover page for the monthly section looks like. So if I click on April, I'm going to get to a very similar page. All the months start with a page like this. So what's on this page is a list of clickable links to key sections of the page, as well as a calendar. What I've got in the calendar, this is kind of like a pre-planning section. I've got a place to put key events and a place to put must-dos. And this is something I can use, as I'm pre-planning or thinking about leading into the month ahead, just to capture quickly so that when I get ready to set up the month, it's there. Calendar, master task list, goals, notes, and a monthly review are in every section. And then I also have 2 additional pages in case something comes up I need to quickly reference. In that month, I can add it. The next page is the calendar. So the calendar is set up Monday through Friday, because quite honestly, I don't care about Saturday and Sunday in my work planner. Now, I can't tell you how weird it is to not have Saturday and Sunday in a calendar. The more I thought about it, the more I wanted to have really maximum space here to capture any notes. And I don't need to capture notes on Saturday and Sunday for the most part. I mean, sometimes I do end up working on Saturday and Sunday, but it's rare and not enough for me to be able to need that in my planner. So I've got all of this section set up. I've got a blank section for any notes that I need to take. And then these are clickable. So for example, if I click on the 20th, I get to January 20th page. So we'll look at that more in a minute. All right, so I can take lots of notes here. It's plenty of space and it's clickable. So this is going to be kind of my master game plan for every month. The next page is a master task list, and I've set this up to have one blank page and then one page divided into 4. If you have watched any of my work planning videos, you know that I like to have sections. Sometimes these are tracking tasks that I've delegated, looking ahead to next month, things that I need to communicate. So I know I like to have that sort of categorized list of tasks in addition to just a place to dump a bunch of tasks. This is what I have set up for every month. The next 2 pages is all about goals. So this is a blank place for me to capture what the goals are, to capture actions, to think through planning of how I'm going to accomplish those, what needs to be delegated and assigned, tracking those to closure. This is going to be a really handy page every month. The next section is notes. So any notes just overall about the month, or things I want to think about as I head into the next month, this is where I'll capture those. A January review. So I haven't quite decided how I want to structure my monthly reviews yet, so I have left this blank, but I do have a place to use this in every month. And then I've got 2 sections that are blank. After that, we get right into the weeks. So let me go back to the weekly calendar, and you'll see within the months, in addition to the little home icon, there's a little calendar icon on every page. Clicking that will take me right back to the monthly calendar, which is very handy to be able to flip back and forth really quickly from any week or day right back to the monthly calendar to see what's ahead. So I can also click on this monthly calendar and get to the weekly pages. So let's say I want to get to week 2. I click there. This is the second week of January. It is dated. And what I have here is a timeline from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is where I will be capturing those key meetings, anything going on that I need to attend or be aware of. And again, you can see this is a Monday through Friday calendar, because I don't need Saturday and Sunday scheduled like this. There's lots of white space, and I wanted to make sure I had this on my weekly pages because I need a place to capture action items, must-dos, delegate notes for next week. I use this space differently every week depending on what's going on, so I wanted to make sure I had that. There are 2 other buttons down here that I want to point out. This button will take me to the previous week, and then this button will take me to the weekly review. So I like to do weekly reviews, particularly for work. I have a whole video and a free template for you to use to conduct a weekly review. I'll have that link down in the description box below so that you can check that out. But weekly reviews are a major part of my planning system and keep me on task, on schedule, and up to date as I go through each week and month. So this is the weekly page setup. I can either click here to get to the days. So for example, I can easily click here and get to Wednesday. Each of the daily pages has a repeat of that schedule and a bunch of blank space for notes, action items, meeting notes, anything that's going on through the day, something I need to remember, all of that stuff. One of the handy tools about digital planning. So you might be thinking, gosh, Planning Annie, you're going to rewrite this schedule over and over again? Actually, no, I'm not. The great thing, and I should mention that, I can click on the day of the week and get right back to the week. The great thing about digital planning, and I'll show this here, I have found that the copy and paste function is pretty powerful. So let's just say I wrote in here, meeting, and then a birthday party. Okay, so I've got that in here. Now what I can do is I can circle that, I can copy it, and then when I go to that day, I can paste it in and move it right over where it needs to be. So I don't have to rewrite, I just have to copy and paste, and I can't even tell you, hopefully you can see how beneficial that would be as you are planning, the ability to copy and paste. That's a big selling point for me for digital planning. So that's the weekly page and the daily page setup. I can click to the weekly review, which I've got blank, because I like to do a lot of writing. I like to draw in some things, like structures or charts or flow charts, things like that. So I've just got this as a blank page. That is really the structure for the monthly pages. In addition to that, I will always come back and do the monthly review as part of each month, but that is the general structure for every month of the year. And, the ability to navigate between the monthly calendar, the master index, the yearly calendar, it's just going to be so powerful. I'm really, really excited about being able to use this planner. All right, so there's a look at my 2022 work planner setup. I would love to hear from you. What ideas do you have? What are you using for work or functional planning in 2022? Is it a printed planner? Is it a blank notebook? Are you going digital in 2022? I really hope that regardless of the format, this planner setup gives you ideas about the type of sections to include in your planner and maybe how to structure it. I have always been a fan of a blank notebook because regardless of what planners I try, I have never found planners that are pre-printed that meet all my needs. And you can see just based on how I had to set things up, why that would be the case. I like my planning style. It works for me. I don't want to have to change it for a specific planner. So I've always found that building my own planner is the best method. And that doesn't matter whether it's physical or, digital. Doesn't matter. Either way, I'm building my own planner. So I just hope that this gives you some idea for structure and setup. I would love to hear how your setup is going for 2022 in your work and functional planning. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to Plan and Annie for more content like this and to watch how using this planner ends up in 2022. Thanks for planning with me.